This is Jill Pack with the Seasons of Joy podcast. This is episode number 152, entitled Cookies and Perspective, What My 4-Year-Old Taught Me About Joy. Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack, and I'm a certified faith-based life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want you to know that no matter your season or your circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life, and I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being a part of this community. Today, I want to share something with you. I have recently been a part of a group, kind of a mastermind of different coaches, entrepreneurs, business people that are trying to grow our businesses. And as part of this group, we are doing what we call micro talks. So we get together in small groups and we take turns presenting a 5-minute presentation, or we interview and ask questions, or we host the meeting. We play different roles. Today was my first time presenting. And like I said, it's a 5-minute presentation, so it's not very long. And it's a little story that I wrote, and I've shared it before in little ways on the podcast, but I thought that I would share it in the presentation form with you today. And hopefully it will help you learn a little bit more about what joy is. So here we go. Over the last few years, I've reflected a lot on the power of perspective and how it helps us navigate life with hope and joy. So I want to share a story that has really helped me with this. When my youngest daughter, Jenna, was about 4 years old, she struggled with sitting still and focusing. And at this time, she was attending a preschool in our small town of Mendon, Utah, taught by a neighbor who ran classes from her home. Jenna loved preschool. She was social, friendly, and loved everyone. And these traits are still part of her amazing self at almost 24. Usually, I'd drop her off and I'd pick her up from preschool, and she'd typically be skipping both ways, except for this particular day. When I arrived to pick her up, she walked slowly out of the house, down the stairs, across the lawn to the car. Her head hung low, and I could see the sadness on her face. When she climbed inside the car, I asked her, "How was your day?" Looking down at the floor, she told me it wasn't very good. She explained how she'd gotten into trouble with the teacher and had been asked to sit out in the hall. I remember telling her, trying to console her. "Oh, sweetheart," I said, "I can tell you're feeling really sad about this." Now, being a mother of 5 children at this time, I had begun to get a little bit better at not sweating some of the small stuff. I knew Jenna and I knew her character. I understood that she simply hadn't been able to sit still that day, and she'd already received the consequence for that situation. So I asked her if she would like to go home and make some cookies. Still looking at the floor, she nodded. At home, I sat her on the stool next to the counter where we would be baking. Poor little Jenna looked so dejected, truly pulling at my mama heartstrings. I began gathering ingredients for the cookies, and after a few minutes, I could see she'd lifted her head, she started looking around the kitchen, and I could see her little brain working. Soon, as I was mixing the cookie dough, I realized Jenna wasn't on her stool anymore. And I could hear her in her bedroom, talking to herself. Some time passed, and she emerged with an armful of Polly Pockets and other toys, still chattering away about whatever game she was playing. She came into the kitchen, she set her toys on the stool, and she played for a few minutes. And then she stopped in her tracks, and she looked at me with the most surprised expression on her face. She exclaimed, "I'm happy." Now, I realized in that moment that Jenna had believed with her 4-year-old mind that she wasn't going to be happy again, that sadness was here to stay. When the sadness faded and happiness settled back in, she understood the difference. She learned that her emotions don't last forever, and joy will return. Now, I've thought about this simple story often over the past 5 or 6 years as I've learned more about how emotions work and how perspective changes things. Even as adults navigating life's challenges, we sometimes feel happiness won't return. We may feel we aren't the person we should be, or that our life isn't what it should be. And we may be believing that the things outside of us determine our happiness. Now, I know this is a simple story that doesn't reflect the heaviness many people experience, the pain, the heartbreak, and trauma. However, I believe it teaches us a powerful lesson about focus and choice. As little Jenna's attention shifted to her play, the part she could control, she began to choose and create happiness in her small 4-year-old way. This story is so beautiful to me, and it has helped me change my belief about what joy really is. I think for a long time, I thought joy was the absence of negative emotions, basically being happy all of the time. But I've come to realize that joy isn't about being happy every single minute of every single day. It's about the contrast that life brings us. Little Jenna wouldn't have really understood what happiness was without feeling that sadness first. The contrast helped her, and it helps me to see that joy is actually about experiencing both positive and negative emotions. Without the sad times, we wouldn't fully appreciate the happy ones. When we allow ourselves to feel all the emotions, the contrast invites such beauty and richness to our lives. It's like understanding that a painting needs both light and shadow to have depth. In the same way, our lives need both happiness and sadness to have meaning. I'm learning that true joy comes not from avoiding difficult feelings, but from embracing the whole spectrum of what it means to be human. Jenna's simple moment of surprise at being happy again taught me that our capacity for joy is actually deepened by our experiences with sadness. That's all I have for you. Thank you for listening for Micro Talk number 1, Cookies and Perspective, what my 4-year-old daughter taught me about joy. Thank you for tuning in to the Seasons of Joy podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends and family. If you want to learn more about me or how to work with me, just visit my website, www.seasons-coaching.com, and have a joyful week.